Welcome to the Rockford Circle. I'm your host, Chitrangada Singh. On this show, we'll meet some of India's brightest and the most cutting-edge entrepreneurs. The spotlight is on the stories behind their success. Our guest for tonight is actually an athlete who, just as a side hustle, co-founded a $2 billion company. He navigates risks in the boardrooms and outruns them in the triathlons. He is an Iron Man, no, not from the comics, but from the real world, whose insurance policies will be the first one to your rescue. Please welcome the co-founder of Policybazaar, Yashish Dahiya. Hi, Yashish. It's absolutely a pleasure to meet you.
Pleasure to meet you.
I think you're the fittest entrepreneur we have in India. Please come join us. Please come.
Thank you.
So, Yashish, I mean, it's an absolute pleasure.
Thank you. The pleasure is all mine.
No, the pleasure is mine. Seriously. I think it's the first time I'm shaking hands with somebody who has achieved as much as you have. You're an army kid.
Yes.
And I take a lot of pride, whatever little I can, because I'm an army kid as well. But tell me something. Was it like all the discipline in the army and how your dad makes you get up in the morning and do all of that? Was that something that really helped you become the entrepreneur?
Disciplines certainly helped me in the sense always been an early riser. But and I kind of hate to break it that way, but it was the opposite. So it was almost like I was bringing discipline into the family. So in the sense,
Really? Okay.
ever since I remember as a kid, I used to be the first one who used to get up, get ready, and be ready for school before kind of breakfast was served.
Oh, God.
So
you were the dream kid.
I don't think I was a dream kid. I was more the kid who was hassling everybody else by being over-disciplined. I've never missed a single class in my entire life. That's from KG.
You never, ever missed a single...
From KG till the very end. So never fell sick, never missed a class, never bunked a class. Very boring, if you would. But yeah.
You are the dream kid, believe me.
Yeah, it can get quite boring, yeah.
So where all did you grow up in the country?
Jammu, Poonch, Srinagar, Tawang, and Meerut.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm from Meerut. Okay. The Meerut Cant. You spent time
Meerut
there as
Cant,
well.
Yeah, of course.
Oh, lovely.
So,
the Wheelers Club.
Mall Road, Wheelers Club.
You've done all of that?
Yeah, of course.
Wow.
The Wednesday movies.
Oh, yes, the Wednesday movies. And then we would have the jam sessions sometimes.
Absolutely. And the swimming pool there, yeah.
Yeah, the swimming pool.
That's where I learned swimming, yeah.
That's where I learned swimming. I don't believe you just said. I was just about to say that's where I learned swimming. Oh, you are my favorite guest. It says that you have completed the Ironman triathlon multiple times. Tell me how many times?
Maybe about 10, 15 times. I haven't kept count.
Oh my God.
But yeah.
I'm actually going to do this.
No, thank you.
I'm actually going to do this. You don't even remember how many times. That's how many times you've done it. What's your resting heart rate?
Resting heart rate is about 41.
Oh my God.
But that would be for most people who are,
No, I think that's
exercising regularly.
Extraordinarily.
Yeah.
This is unbelievable. 3.9 kilometer swim, 180 kilometer bike ride, and a 42 kilometer run. What's been your best time?
11 hours and 13 minutes.
And you've completed every single time?
I have. This is something very special to me. I have never, ever not completed anything I've begun. So, yeah.
Yeah, you've not missed a single class in KG.
Yeah. So once I start, I don't stop. So that's obvious, yeah.
You're the Forrest Gump. you are the Forrest Gump of our country. My God, this is unbelievable. So tell me, so you were in boarding after that. And so how does it all shape a person to become so successful?
I don't know. It's I was not a great student, so I was pretty average. In fact, I'd say somewhat below average.
Really?
But that wasn't for lack of effort. It was, but I was always.
You made all the effort. So you didn't study that much, but it was sports, which got your...
Sports always got me more interested. It was mostly running and swimming that I enjoyed.
Okay. Yeah, that's actually very good. So tell me something. Were you an academically bright student? Getting into IIT and IIM is not easy.
Yeah, so actually even my teacher was surprised. So there's a little anecdote here.
Okay.
I did my 11th and 12th from St. Columbus. And one of the class teachers, when I got into IIT, she called me over and said, listen, can you tell me who does your dad know? Because she somehow thought that my dad had some, siparish to get me into IIT.
Get you into that. Oh, really?
So it was
Nobody
really that
expected
bad.
you to get there. Your parents, did they think?
Oh, no, not at all. My parents certainly did not think I would get into. They didn't even know what IIT was. So after I got into IIT, my father actually went to see that there was an institute called IIT and that it actually existed, and what people were saying was not, because he only knew NDA and IMA.
Yeah.
Right? So he didn't know anything else. So this actually did happen. But there were a few people who did believe it would happen, and they were friends. So I would say 3 to 5 friends in my both Sanar and St. Columbus. They somehow said, yes, it was bound to happen. So I was one of those people that the teachers did not expect it to happen, but a lot of the students did.
Did your father want you to join the army?
My father was the one who actually told me not to join the army in the end. My father said, look, your grandfather, your father, everybody's been in the army. So let's also have a look at what civilian life is like. It won't be bad.
And then you showed him what civilian life can be. Oh, my God. Wow. Yashish, you've had a long history of working for other companies before you started your own. So was there always like a hunger to be a founder, do your own thing? Or did things just sort of keep falling into place, just fate?
So yes, I worked for a few companies, and I worked for quite some time. And I would say I was quite a late entrepreneur in that sense. I became an entrepreneur at about 32 or so. Whereas,
that doesn't sound very old to me, really. But what was it? Like you weren't happy?
I have never really left a job. I actually got kicked out of my job in the sense I was fired. And I still don't know why I was fired, because I was doing quite a good job. And actually the company did not do so well after I was fired. I was just asked one day to come into the boardroom, and I went to the boardroom and they said, we won't be needing your services. So I said, okay. I was walking back to my desk and some guards came and they said, we'll escort you out. And I said, that's quite embarrassing because I'm the managing director of this company and, I kind of put in a lot of effort, but that's how it happened. And at that point, I felt tough because kids going to school and, all costs and all that stuff. And we were sort of a single income family. So at that point, it felt like, oh my God, what am I going to do? But I guess it was one of the best things that happened to me.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just trying to imagine.
At that time, it was tough because my kids were like 3 and 5. Actually, not even 3 and 5. They were like 2 and 4. And, a lot of costs and everything was stacked up. And we were living in London. And so it wasn't, we had just had 5-6 years maybe living in London. So it wasn't an easy time.
No, I can imagine.
But yeah, it worked out quite okay.
So right after you get fired, you decide to
I started looking for jobs. I started looking for jobs. Okay. And actually, see, I'm 32. I've been the managing director of a company, of a FTSE-listed company. I can't really join a place as an analyst, although I applied to a few jobs. So I applied to, for example, Tesco. They said, listen, you can't really join as an analyst. You've been the managing director of a company.
You're overqualified
for that job.
We can't.
And then nobody would hire me as a CEO in London because for that I was too underqualified because I had very little experience of London, right? So I got a job with the company in Cardiff.
That's far.
Yeah, and I think my wife was not happy moving to Cardiff. So I could see it. Yeah. And so on the last day when I was supposed to join, I had to kind of make a decision, career or Shikha's happiness. And I think I am very glad I made the right decision that, look, she's not happy. What's the point? And at that point, I didn't know what I would do because, it was a very brave decision at that point.
God, yes.
But we decided to just move back to Wimbledon. And then it was with the previous founder of eBookers that we set up something. That did not work out after about 1.5 years. And that's when Policybazaar was set up.
So was it set up in London or did you come back?
This was set up in London, but Policybazaar was set up in India.
Okay, and then you moved to India.
That's when I moved to India. 2008 is when I moved to India.
Okay.
And I moved to India only because I was setting up Policybazaar. Otherwise, and the family always stayed back in London. They never moved.
So tell me about how did this idea come to you?
Idea is not very different from the job I was supposed to join in Admiral, in Cardiff.
Okay.
It is pretty much the same thing. Okay. So it is, that was an insurance company. Otherwise, I had no clue about the insurance sector. Essentially, what they did was very similar in many ways to what Policybazaar does today. Because they used to run a company called Confused.com.
Confused.com.
Yeah, and
okay.
Confused.com was like a comparison site for insurance in the UK, a very popular one.
Okay.
And I was supposed to join them to become sort of the manager, CEO, whatever you want to call of that. And that's essentially what Policybazaar is. It was 18 of us who thought it was a good idea because it was part of that same team. And so these people are mostly ex-e-bookers, which is the company that I was fired from.
Fired from.
Yeah. So most of these people are from...
Did they quit and join you? Was it something like that?
In time.
In time.
In time. Absolutely.
Oh, that's
because everybody has their costs and family and all that stuff. But yeah, these people trusted me enough that they came and joined me, and we became co-founders of, Policybazaar.
But was it easy for you to convince? Because it seems like it was your idea.
Actually, these people convinced me.
They convinced you?
Yeah, because please appreciate, I was still interested in finding a job in London. Because you can imagine, right? Family is there. Let's not act super brave that, I was this guy who wanted to set up an entrepreneurial thing. There was going to be no salary for 5 years. I wasn't a rich person. I didn't have capital. So actually, most of these people were based in India, and their life was in India. My life wasn't in India. My life was in London, and it continued to be, right?
Yeah.
So for me, it was sacrifice salary, sacrifice family, and God knows what will happen.
And then take this huge risk.
Yeah.
My God, yes.
But I think at some point, and I think that's the real strength of Policybazaar and this venture, and maybe that's my biggest strength actually. I was able to put 17 families ahead of one family. Somewhere I found that ability that, okay, 17 families are more important than one family. And whether that comes from army, whether that comes from just who I am, I don't know. But at the cusp of it, when you talk about our organization, that is the biggest differentiator, even today, in terms of DNA of the organization, that people are able to put the company ahead of themselves, which is so difficult.
It's such an amazing, amazing story. You've always kept family first when it came to decisions.
Yeah.
And I think that's quite amazing because a lot of entrepreneurs, when you speak to them, at some point or the other, it's always the family that takes the back seat because it takes so much out of them at one point in their life.
I remember when I decided to not join Admiral, the CEO of Admiral wrote a very nice message. He said, I can respect your decision because clearly you've chosen family over career, which is a very hard thing to do. It was a very clear decision. If Shikha is not happy, what's the point doing it? When Shikha was at INSEAD, both the kids were with me. My mother used to be there at that point. But I used to go pick them up while I was working. And then I would bring them to the office and they would sleep on a small sofa we had. And I would carry on with my meetings. And I would also receive calls at 11 o'clock, and I would also take those. What I'm saying is I didn't compartmentalize, but for me, work is like family, and family is like work. As an entrepreneur, say, I will not take a call at 11 o'clock, or I'll not take a call on the weekend because it's my family time.
True.
That also is very difficult because, other people are relying on you, and you can't suddenly disappear.
And you're accountable for something.
And at the same time, you're accountable to the family. What if many times it happens, my son would call me in the middle of a meeting, and he'd say, I have a question. And I would take his call in the middle of the meeting.
Yeah.
And I know that's somewhere being disrespectful to the meeting, but even that's important.
That is the ideal kind of, situation. I think that everybody, instead of compartmentalizing, because there's too much pressure on everyone, and it's actually not achievable.
It's very difficult. Yeah, it becomes very difficult.
You can go through a week too, but it can't be a way of life. I mean, you're going to work.
Yeah, it's not like I have 2 hours for the family every day.
It's like, okay, this is it. Let's walk the dog, come back, diet, finish. It's not that, right?
Oh, absolutely.
No, absolutely. There'll be a lot of women there like, where are these men? Why don't they make them anymore? But she's very supportive, of course.
Yeah, of course. Once Policybazaar started, she knew that what the financial situation was.
Right.
She started working after that. It's a very important thing, things help at that point. And that's what I say, if that wasn't there, then Policybazaar may not have been possible, right? So it was necessary from that perspective, and it helped in many ways,
She is also a co-founder
totally.
Policy, if I may say.
I think I was born in this life to just learn from Shikha. Because,
oh my God.
And that's something it's taken me 20 years to realize.
Amazing that you would give such a huge compliment. This has been such an unbelievable journey. It's almost like a tale that's ripped out of the pages of a superhero comic. But now it's time to know more as we play Rockford on the Double. where I'm going to ask you questions and you will give me very quick, unfiltered, and very candid responses. Okay? So let's go. One thing your children teach you.
Nobody else is going to admire your work, so stop wasting your time trying to impress people.
Your kids teach you this?
Yeah, because, I would think I kind of, set up this company and, sacrifice. And my son says, no, you just wanted time away from the family, so you went to India. so the point is, if your son's not going to understand you, then not many people in the world are going to understand you. So just do what you have to do. Don't bother about trying to impress people.
One lie that every CEO tells.
What would be one lie? Maybe, that they're happy. They're happy doing what they're doing. I guess because there are bad days. There are bad days. It can't always be smooth sailing.
Right. A decision you regret making.
I did my master's at Ahmedabad, and that was with no experience whatsoever. And I regret doing that because in a way I wasted 2 years. I wish I had gathered 3-4 years of experience before going into my master's, because it just became a continuation of education. It was meant to be a lot more. So if I look back at the last 25, 30, 40, 50 years of my life, those are 2 years that I almost wish were not there. Yeah.
A piece of advice that changed your life.
That's a hard one. I usually don't get influenced by advice too much. And I don't take too much advice. But yeah, there was a friend's father, and I was telling him at that point, look, I've come from the UK. I don't really want to be in India, but I'm here, and I don't know what I'm going to do. And I still remember he held my hand very tightly, and he said, whatever you have in your hand, never leave it. And that gentleman is no more there, but I very clearly remember it. And that has always stayed with me.
Okay, a female entrepreneur that inspires you or you think?
Yeah, I think Falguni from Nykaa. Very, very tough to build a business, while supporting the family and everything
also
else.
Very late in life,
and very late in life.
Yeah,
very impressed.
Yes.
Very impressed.
Absolutely. Coming to the next one, which is choose one. Okay, freedom or money?
Freedom, obviously. Yeah.
If not the CEO of the Policybazaar today, what do you think you would be?
The only thing I can imagine me being very happy doing is if I was in the army.
Really?
Yeah, I think I would have enjoyed that life as well.
A faster marathon time or a larger company turnover?
I think it's pretty obvious, a faster marathon time.
You're serious?
Obviously.
I guess when you don't want something bad enough, it comes to you. So you will say this, but then you'll get this amazing offer of a larger company to take over. I think that's what's happening to you. Anyway, intimate celebration or a grand party?
Intimate celebration for sure.
You seem like.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has to mean something, right? Okay, rate yourself as a father.
I would rate myself pretty high.
1 to 10.
1 to 10, I'd say 10.
I would give you 10. I would. An athlete.
I'd say 6 on 10.
No, 9. I will rate you on this. A husband.
I would say maybe 8 or something.
11
on 10.
11 on 10. A friend.
I think, I would say, I'm a pretty loyal friend. So I would say maybe 7, 8 on 10.
Easily. An employee?
I got fired, but I was a very good employee. I think people make wrong decisions at times, but I would say I would love to have an employee like myself. So I would give myself a very high rating again. Maybe I would give myself 10.
Yeah.
I wrote to that company 6 months later.
Okay.
And I said, at least explain to me why you fired me. And they, never responded. So
I think you should write to them saying that now I know why you did, because this was my fate.
It's okay.
Okay. Rate yourself as a leader.
Maybe 7 on 10.
Rate yourself as, on humility. 1 to 10.
I'm not being giving any humility
I'm
whatsoever.
giving you 10 on 10. You're extremely humble.
Maybe 1 on 10. Because,
I'm just
so my kids always tell me you're too full of yourself. So no, I cannot give myself more than a 1 on 10 on that. I'm not at all. I don't have
Really?
any fake humility. I just say it the way it is.
Right.
And yeah, I'm quite a proud person. So yeah, it
No, I
ends
think
up.
pride and proud is different. Like
Yeah.
there's a person with pride and there's a
but-
person who's just proud. But I think you're amazing. I'm going to buy the book the day you write it, okay? All right, moving on. So Yashish, this is my favorite segment of the Rockford Circle sit down. It's called the Mentor's Den, where you will answer all those questions that some very eager young entrepreneurs have asked from you. And my first question to you is, what are some of the biggest mistakes you see entrepreneurs today making?
Trying to impress, whether it is trying to impress investors, employees, anybody, just build your business for yourself. Don't try to impress people. Don't throw out metrics. Don't try to achieve things that you should not. And I just think if people just built the business for themselves like it is their own business, I think it'll be good for everybody.
How important do you think is formal education?
At our company, we have people who are in the top 10 people in the company who have barely gone to college, but they have some qualities which are very special, which have kept them going for very long and doing very well.
What would those qualities be?
Trust in the rest of the team and in the leadership. Second is patience. Both the 2-3 individuals that I'm speaking about have now been with me in the third company, right? And of course, the willingness to learn.
Yeah.
And then they have special skills which are quite different to both of them. One is very disciplined, one is not so disciplined.
You can't buy trust. You can't buy honesty, I feel.
I was actually I was speaking with somebody recently, and I was telling them that our employees mostly never leave. Because these people didn't start out because they thought they were going to make an X amount of money.
Right.
They did this whole thing because they were enjoying the company, right? You had to enjoy this last 15 years.
Correct.
The end goal can't be your only objective.
Yeah. Lighter question. A book or a movie that you would recommend to the new entrepreneurs? Anything that inspired you?
Was a book which one was it? I forget. But it talked about the expertise question and the fact that you need 10,000 hours to become an expert at anything.
Okay.
And I think that was a very telling thesis that you need 10,000 hours to become good at anything. So it gives you a lot of patience.
Okay.
Why am I forgetting the name of the book? But I'm sure.
So 10,000 hours, you work on anything and you will get good at it.
You'll basically to become world class at anything, you need 10,000 hours.
I think I read this.
Yeah.
There's a muscle memory thing about it, right?
Yeah,
if you do anything, if you repeat anything so many number of
hours,
it's like at golf, if you do a putt so many number of times, it's muscle memory and you don't have to think. Is it called Outliers?
Outliers, that's the book.
Is that the one?
That's the book.
I was thinking about that. Yeah, okay.
So you just hit my weakness. I'm very bad at remembering things.
Yeah, and the film?
I like that movie where it's that kid and the dad where he sets up
Pursuit of Happiness.
Pursuit of Happiness.
Okay, it was such a great chat. I've seriously been inspired talking to you. It's been so inspiring.
Thank you.
And now I would want you to write a mantra, a Yashish Dahiya original mantra, quote, something for us so that it can go on the wall of inspiration that we have here.
Sure.
It says, trust and patience are the most underrated. I'm like hit by it. Everything you're saying, I'm just getting hit. I would want you to please come and put this on our wall of inspiration. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It was so lovely talking to you. This has probably been the most interesting conversation I've had. Thank you for joining us at Rockford Circle.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. I hope you all are as inspired as I am. See you next time on another episode of the Rockford Circle.